people. Thank you. And remain standing. Is this thing on? Yeah, we're going to do stand up and form an amoeba to sing Surely the Presence. And we're doing it a cappella today, and you can pick your own key. All right, well then I'll start it. You can sing whatever you want. 1, 2, 3, 4. Surely the presence of the Lord is in His place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Thank you. Aren't we great this morning?
And we did. We got every key.
All right. Thank you all. Welcome to Unity of the Seacoast here in beautiful Dover, New Hampshire for Sunday, September 24th. And thank you, Kevin Reams, for that beautiful, it certainly opens my heart when those things come through my ears and down and spreads out all the closed up spaces inside me. So welcome everyone who is here this morning, and we also welcome those of you who may be joining us for the first time online. I believe today is the first Sunday in autumn, and if you've never been here live to join us, it's something you really ought to do sometime soon. Okay. Let's see, we have, I'm going to model for you. If you're here and you have not yet turned off your cell phone, this is how I do mine. Bang. Cell phone off. Thank you. We have a daily word that's produced by Unity Worldwide Ministries. And today's daily word is healing. Divine life lives as me. I am whole and well. When I'm experiencing healing need, I focus my thoughts beyond illness and discomfort. Even as I seek treatment for the injury or illness, I see myself whole. I remember that I'm created in the image according to the likeness of God. I know my life is God's life living as me. Divine life fills every cell, strengthens every muscle, bone, and organ, and quickens every nerve in my body. It restores perfect order to all my body's functions, releasing and replacing anything unlike itself. When someone asks me to pray with them, I do not ask about their symptoms or circumstances. I affirm the healing activity of divine life in each one with whom I pray. I see them as spiritual beings they are, whole and well. And from John chapter 1, verse 4, in him was life, and the life was the light of all the people. And that's what we get to do here at Unity of the Seacoast. And throughout our week when we're not here is be the light for all the people. Our goal, and which is embodied here in our mission statement, if you would be kind enough to join me in that. We are a loving, nurturing community dedicated to being a positive path to spiritual living, to awaken oneness with God within us all. Thank you. And that's what we try to do here. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, we are committed to being a light expressing the light that lives within from each of us, sharing it that others might get a spark if they need one. And we all do it, and we have fun doing it. So on the first Monday of every month, there's a meditation at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live, and the next one coming up is on October 7th. Excuse me, 2nd, October 2nd at 7 p.m. We have a YouTube channel where we are currently streaming live. We are live on Facebook also, and our YouTube page has a library, I guess you would call it, of past talks. If you're interested in going back to see something you missed or revisiting something that I know when I'm listening, every once in a while, something goes, and my brain goes, over here, takes me off in a different direction, and then I come back and wonder, oh, what did I miss? I have the opportunity to go online and catch up with anything I might have missed by reviewing it. And you can get there. The easiest way is to go to our website, which is unityoftheseacoast.org. And we have buttons on that will take you to our Facebook page, our meetup page, which has all of our activities listed on it. And usually that has a more comprehensive description of what the activities are. And then our YouTube page, and also on our web page, there's a button called Tithely, which gives you an opportunity to donate and help us continue to be able to go serve in the community. So I understand it's pretty simple to use. I've never touched it because I have a wife that's smart about those things. So, and let's see. And if you don't like to do things electronically, then our mailing address is Unity of the Seacoast, McConnell Center, Suite 246, 61 Locust Street in beautiful, where? Downtown Dover, 03820 in New Hampshire. Thank you. We're going to have to work on that part. No, not right now. Okay, so our meetup groups, probably the 3-4 main things you would see on there. You will see the first Monday of the month meditation. You'll see the third Friday of the month is our game night at 6:30 right here. Fun and food. What could be better? Nice folks all around. You don't have to be a member of Unity of the Seacoast to show up and play games. We have a lot of games. If you have something you'd like to bring and share with us, please do. And let's see, we do cards, we do board games, and we do a lot of talking and laughing. Okay? Yes, thank you. So on the third Saturday of every month, we have Poets in Unity, which is our poetry group led by Shane Morin of Poets Corner, and he has created a magnificent space in which we share poetry of others, have great discussions, and then have the opportunity to share our own poetry and discuss that if we wish. So that is the third Saturday from 2 to 4, and it's turned into quite a joyful time as well. On Thursday mornings at 10 a.m., A Course in Miracles group meets here at Unity of the Seacoast. And at some point, probably next month, the acoustic music circle will start back up. I haven't decided exactly day and time on that one. And that will be available on Meetup as soon as I know something. You will too. Dun, dun, dun. And if you're interested in the Course in Miracles but have questions, you can call 207-216-3438. Next week, Tom is going to look at Who Are You? And this is based on a past theme, and it's inspired by a video that our congregant Ernie sent to Tom. And if you are curious, well, come see us next week and you'll find out something. Next is our traditional namaste, which is Sanskrit for the light in me sees and honors the light in you, or the best in me sees and recognizes the best in you. And we put our hands together in prayer position, look someone deeply in the eyes, and bow slightly and say, Namaste, Namaste, Namaste. And if you're watching online and you don't have anyone there to namaste with, namaste. Namaste, Jamie. Namaste, Tom. Namaste. I used to think that that came from that movie, that it was Namaste, Namaste. Every morning you greet me. But somebody straightened me out on that one. So don't think that. Sorry. Came in, it goes out. So next up, we have another song from Kevin Reams.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Magnificent. And next, a man who needs minimal introduction, Tom.
Thank you. I can follow that one. It's much easier than when he tells people I regurgitate. Kevin, that's phenomenal. Every time I hear it, and you make some of those, don't you? No, I thought you had mentioned that. It's just really great. It sets a great mood for everything. Before I start, every week we do Namaste, and it's become almost a buzzword out in the world, the way Aloha did 30 years ago. Bumper stickers and everything. And I don't mind the word being overused, but take it to heart sometimes when you see it. It's really looking beyond the superficial. It's really looking into the person and seeing the best of them, their Christ-like nature, their soul, everything that they hope to be and dream to be, that childlike, youthful love that you have for life. All that's encapsulated in that word. And so let it be overused, but never take it for granted, like, a catchword of the day. And I'm going to transition from that to beef jerky. Sometimes when I read the Bible, it reminds me of, you ever go into a convenience store and you get that beef jerky that was probably made in 1920, and you take a piece, but you got to chew it around for a long time until it became something that you can absorb. Well, lots in the Bible are like that. You seem to know what it is at first, but you still wind up chewing it around, thinking about it until it becomes something that means something for you. And that's the way it's supposed to work. It's not supposed to be direct one meaning for everybody. And that's one of the things I find so interesting about it. And today I'm covering lessons from the book of Matthew. And there are plenty of lessons, and I'm not going to cover them all. These are just a sampling of things that stood out to me over the past couple weeks. Now, the book of Matthew is comprised of many of the same things are comprised of from Mark and Luke. They're part of the synoptic gospels, and it's my favorite gospel. Some believe it was written by the disciple Matthew, though most scholars date it 60 years after Jesus' death and think it's highly unlikely that he was the author. And another reason they doubt that he was the author is because in verse 9:9, he mentions Matthew the disciple and makes no reference that is him. It's believed that the author was a Jew because it is written to give a clear connection of Jesus through his lineage and his history that goes through David, 1 Samuel, King David, David and Goliath, Bethlehem, city of David. There was a distinct effort there to make that tie-in. And it covers the birth of Jesus, the virgin birth, Joseph's vision, Jesus' mission, all the way through his death. And symbolically, metaphysically, it represents our lives, our life cycle, as well as our spiritual birth cycle. Because we each come to the world in unique ways. Every parent has unique stories about their child's birth. Though the process is generally the same, there's a uniqueness, and that makes each one of us special. Now, Jesus comes through a virgin birth, so his examples are usually to the extreme, and this is no exception. But from the moment we are born, we're going to go through stuff. We must experience stuff, and we will learn to rise above it. We will experience the trials of physical consciousness as well as spiritual consciousness. We have emotions and thoughts that will serve us and some that will not. The book of Matthew can be seen as a past historical context, but at the same time be applied to today. For example, in a historical context, when Jesus was born, King Herod felt threatened and issues a decree that all the children around Bethlehem, 2 years and younger, be put to death. In an emotional or metaphysical context, this part of Herod is part of us when we overreact or act out irrationally when we feel threatened. And the neat thing about that little story is it also can read deeper into it and understand the time frame that it took for news to travel any distance back then. For Herod to issue this decree, he knew by the time it reached back to Bethlehem, Jesus would be a toddler, which meant he stewed on this problem for at least a year. And this is also an important scenario because it relates to our times. Matthew 2:14. He arose, Joseph. He arose and took the child and mother by night and departed into Egypt. One of the issues we're going to face when we choose a president is how that person handles our borders. Joseph took his family and fled because of the political policies of his homeland. This happens in our world today. I, like you, have to square this out with my conscience on who I vote for and how I vote. And when Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist, it said that the heavens opened and a voice from heaven said, "This is my beloved Son, and I am well pleased." When we go through a change toward our highest nature, when we become one with all that's connected to God, we cannot help but get this feeling of euphoria, that the heavens are pleased. This is the feeling that we strive for when we commit acts of grace, love, compassion, empathy, and kindness. When you know the God of your consciousness is well pleased. And make a moment of this, because you're supposed to make a moment of this. Step back and bask in that feeling. Jesus gets tested in the desert. This again is us. We all go through tests. We go through tests of what we know, our values, and our beliefs. They get tested and strained. But it's then when we double down and we use our faith and conviction to our highest self that we pull through these tests. I've been tested by illness and by others. I've been tested by my desires or lack of desires to do the work to accomplish something. But each time I'm faced with the only way out is to honor my faith, to take the steps that are in line with my faith. One of the hardest things for me was when my sister mocked what I do for a living. This will happen to you or anyone. And it doesn't have to be about a spiritual thing, but you'll have to decide your reaction to it. With my sister, though I was hurt, I also knew in my heart that this is what I was meant to be. This is what I was meant to do. Jesus stared at those temptations, and his faith and his strength never wavered. It is here where he solidified his stance to live from his highest Christ-like nature. Jesus picks the first disciples. He's in Galilee, and he sees Peter and Andrew, and they're mending their nets. And we get that great line, "Come with me, and I will make you fishers of men." They were fishermen, mending their nets, probably common people. The Spirit of God in consciousness is not looking for a certain type of person. They're not looking for that rich person, that well-connected person, the extra spiritual person. These are fishermen. They're probably not clean. They're probably worn down by work, but they're very much the average person of the day. And they are chosen. Like we all are chosen. And that's the beauty of all this. It can happen at any moment. You have an awakening, even in the middle of your workday. It's the same with Matthew. He's working in a tax collector's office. And Jesus walks up and simply says, "Follow me." And Matthew did. When I first went to a Unity church, it was because Reverend Diane Robinson simply said to me, "Come to church." That was her, "Follow me." And for whatever reason, I knew not to question, and she did not try to sell me on it. It was very simply, "Come to church." We get these moments when our life gives us opportunity, and the voice of God opens up to us. And I say voice of God, not because she's a reverend, but because the words I needed to hear in that moment to lead me to my path were spoken. The night I met Casey, a friend of mine was doing stand-up comedy, and he'd invite me to his show. And I had seen his stuff many times. I didn't feel like going. But he said something. He said, come on, you'll never know who you will meet. That intrigued me. And it was a slip of the tongue because he didn't know Casey, and I wound up sitting at the table next to her, and we met. And the funny thing is, he also met the woman that he married that night. The Word of God shows up at any moment, and it can be subtle. We get to the Sermon on the Mount, and I've covered this before, and I'm probably going to cover this in depth again soon. But there's a couple of things that always pop out to me. First of all, most of these lines were not probably said in one sitting or one talk. They were compiled to fit into a story. But again, it's good reading. And as always, if you're reading, drop what you think you know and reread it from a new perspective. But blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, the last beatitude. So you're going to act in accordance with your beliefs, and there will be those who get bothered by it. They may feel left behind, or you're not the same person, or whatever. It's okay. Be proud of the person that you are, because you're always growing mentally and spiritually. And some folks will have a problem with it, and people go through this all the time. You grow, you make lifestyle changes, and again, someone feels left behind. Addicts are told to stay away from old friends because of this, because it's easy to be drawn backwards. But at the same time, always know that there's someone out there who takes pride in your growth. Jesus says you are the salt of the earth. This is you and me and everyone. We each have style and we each have flavor. Live life to the fullest. Let others be bathed in your light. Salt of the earth is seen as common people, and we're all that in some way. But as common as we are each different. I mean, how common is being a farmer? But there is as many type of farmers as there are things to eat. There's kelp farmers, and there's tree farmers, and there's tropical plant farmers. Each one is unique. We are all unique. Do whatever you do. Choose to be what you be, because you are the salt of the earth. And because you have your own style, you add your own flavor to the rest of the world. Now, in the middle of this book, there's verse 12:22, where a man is brought to him who's blind and mute. And Jesus heals him. And it's a simple story, and some of those witness the healing, compare Jesus to Satan. And we get those lines that Satan cannot cast out Satan, or a house divided amongst itself shall soon crumble. But strip away all that. Look at this verse and trust what you see and what you say. Because when we don't, we tend to clam up, or we see things in a way that perhaps the meaning was not meant to be, a meaning that we've been conditioned or told to accept. And this happens when we don't trust our own voice. It's hard to speak with conviction when our thoughts and words and what we see does not align with our beliefs. Real simply, your interpretation of life and all its ideas and all its thoughts are as valid as anyone else's. Trust in them and have faith in them. I remember when I first started taking Unity classes, I did not speak up. I know that's hard to believe for many people. But I was new to the class, and I was sure everyone else had a better grasp on things than I did. But after a couple of weeks, I came to the conclusion, so what? If I'm going to get all I need, I have to participate and I have to speak as much as I'm allowed. And it turned out that I did know things, and my voice did matter. It also turned out that other people had the same reservations that I had, and they began to speak up. And it also turned out that there were no correct or wrong answers. We were all just trying to sort things out for ourselves. Much of the underlying theme of Matthew and most of the Gospels is to go inside and trust what you know. That, as I mentioned over and over, is the idea behind the fish with a coin in its mouth story. That's the idea of sin no more. We each know the ways that we go against ourselves, that we go against our Christ-like nature. Jesus never has to tell us what our sins are, and God knows. So we go inside and we sort that out. It's the sorting of the wheat from the chaff. Each time he tells the disciple, ye of little faith, he's telling them, you've seen this stuff before. You've seen the people healed. You've seen the masses fed. You've heard my words. You've seen the effect on those. And they somehow let go of that, and they don't trust what they know. He's telling us to trust in what we know. Just like we look at the sky in the evening or in the morning, and we can understand the upcoming weather. We can look at the signs of our lives and read them. And he tells them, how long will I be with you? This is a very parental line. It's like saying to your children to let them make their choices, read the signs, because we will not be with them. And they must learn cause and effect. Or we're the same way. And I can't think how many times I've told my kids, do this is what happens, this is what happens. It never worked. They had to experience it. Because I can't assume, just because I'm their parent, I know what's right for them or what their fit is. And I can't assume that they're not going to try anyway. So I teach them to trust in themselves and to put all their thought and heart into the decisions. And he's telling us to do that we have it within us. Trust your eyes and your voice, and trust your faith that you will find the right path. We each have to separate the good from the bad, the right from the wrong. And sometimes in its infancy stage, it's hard to tell them apart. That's why it says, let them both grow together before we sort them out. He's telling us to wait, let the harvest time come, then decide what is weed and what is wheat, what is wheat and what is weed. We know, but we have to wait. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. And when you make the wrong choice, recognize it. Stop doing those same things. Some people get this quickly, some people do not. But each of you know what your choices should be. And then he says, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Why? Because they sit around discussing and controlling. And again, this is us. How often do we try to control the world and those around us? Because we're so busy in our minds sorting things out, thinking, how can we add our yeast to the mixture? When in fact, some bread doesn't need yeast. And the other fact is people are going to break their bread fine whether you throw in your yeast or not. Often when we're trying to control those in the world around us, there's something within us that we're struggling to control. And it's a hard lesson. He's telling us to trust our voice and let others to trust in theirs. And that even goes with me. Just because I say something doesn't mean it's a fit for you. When you start trusting your voice, listening to that quiet voice inside you, you begin to find truths that work for you. And there's a part of your egoic old ways that you deny. And this is when we begin to find our Christ-like consciousness. Our self-indulgent self dies, and the spiritual begins to arise within us. You lose part of you to be new, to be born again, childlike faith. Accept that change. Jesus compares us to children because a child comes into the world with an open mind and absorbs. And we must be humble enough to keep absorbing. I knew everything when I was 15. By the time I was 22, I would start to wondering what I really knew. And by the time I was 40, all I thought that I knew was not working. My initial beliefs and ideas did not serve me. They served mental illness and my ability to consume alcohol. And I'm not saying all my beliefs were bad. I had my belief in my ability to fight, to overcome, and to be strong. But I had to learn how to let my positive gifts take control of my life and let go of the gifts or traits that did not serve me. And that brings us to the parable of the lost sheep. Again, this is us. We find joy in the parts of us that were lost and that we recover. I had lost self-respect, hope, love, all the things that go with wrong thinking. And suddenly they started to come back one at a time. And I can rejoice when all of that was restored. And the bonus was those who love me could rejoice as well. I watched my mom do this over the course of her life. I watched when I was young, she was lost, and how she reclaimed each piece of her life until she was totally selfless. She was very much one of those what about me people, and all the things that go along with that in an insecure person, till she found the power of giving and caring on a whole new level. Not that she didn't care, but there's a great shift that happens when someone truly goes inside and understands it. And you've heard this story before of her last words to me. She was in hospice. She was in a cancer-ridden stupor for about 2 weeks. No words came from her. We had a vacation plan that we had forgotten about. My mother woke up, speaking as clear as possible. I was sitting on the floor in the hospice room. She says, "Tom, do you know why I'm still hanging on?" "No, Ma." She said, "Because if I die, you won't go on your vacation tomorrow." "Mom, we're not going." She said, "I want you to go. You haven't been on one in years." Somehow in that cloud, she could keep track of the days, and us who were clear could not. She had to complete her whole journey. Her last act was as selfless as it can be, but she had to complete her whole journey from birth to death to be seen in her entirety. She had gone through all her stuff to live the good and the bad. And that might be the point, as it was with Jesus. We have to view the whole story. And when we do this, we're given the tools to complete our story and view the stories of others. Jesus says we have to forgive 7 times 70. He's not telling you to do a mathematical problem. He's telling you to change the scenario and the narrative as many times as you can. It's dropping our first perception and casting a new light over it. My father passed long before I could know his story. But it's through the examples of others that I could see and trust and come up with a story that I could live with that made sense for him and me. Because of Matthew, because of Unity, because of Casey, my kids, and all of you, I get to work on this side of my story. Now, I began by saying Matthew symbolically represents our life cycle, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, we can break down each story of Matthew and look for an individual lesson, and I hope you do. And I hope you come up with different lessons almost every time you read it, because that makes the Bible living. But there's so much that relates to our times, and the meanings will evolve. But the idea is to seek out the truth that work for you, to be open, to allow the meanings to change. And please be humble. Let the words guide you and you not guide the words. Peter, Andrew, James, and John were fishermen when change hits them. These people are us. Matthew, a disciple working in a tax office. Can you think of any job more ready to be walked away from and a new life to emerge? Their story, not just Jesus's, has to be viewed in its whole life cycle to begin to see them. And I wish we had more written on them. But we take much from them and how Jesus interacted with them, because we are the people of the book. Peter is us. Matthew is us. They're all people in our lives today. The lessons relate to our lives. We'll go through some stuff. Some stuff will test us and appear to break us. But we'll push through it and past it in faith, works, and deeds. We will be as Mary, unwavering at times for the love of our children. We will be as Joseph, the protector. And we will be like Peter. And our faith will stand strong in 1 minute, and then the next it may waver. And hopefully, we will all be like Matthew. And when that voice presents itself, we will take action and follow that voice. Step away while we do the meditation song. Thank you so much. Took a sip and it kind of went down funny. Today's meditation I'm going to take from a book that Frank made up for us again. I just love this book. It's The Power of Prayer. And though he's not here, he's always here. And I mean that with everyone, though. You know, we have people who come in and sit sometimes once a month, once every 2 months. I love everyone who comes here, and I love seeing their faces. I'm glad to listen at home, but I'm always happy when you're here. Just never take you guys for granted, so thank you. So I'm going to ask everyone to get comfortable. Find your comfortable breathing pattern. I'm going to do 2 prayers, a prayer of strength from Reverend Evan Wilkins, and a prayer of gratitude from Reverend Elizabeth Mora. We breathe in and out. We begin to find our comfortable breathing pattern. We settle in, knowing that there's one power, one presence, a work in my life and in our life and in the universe. God the good and great omnipresence. Take a moment to pause, a moment to sit, and a moment to bask in gratitude for our inner power of strength. That strength connects us to God within. That strength sustains us and provides the gentle nudge that says, yes, you can. We move deeply into this moment of prayer as we affirm our strength radiating out to all other beings, calling forth the divine strength in them. We breathe in this moment of oneness with God, within this wonderful, beautiful essence of God that we are. And we affirm that we are strength. Let me take a moment to bring appreciation to the forefront of my day. Whatever I plan to accomplish, I let gratitude go before me. I put my day into order when I come from this place. I now enter into a stage of gratitude. That is, I am grateful in advance. There is no need to wait for anything to happen externally. This moment of prayer shifts my awareness so I can see, hear, feel, and know the overflowing abundance that is everywhere right now. A smile easily comes to my face as I experience this gift. I see the world differently. I see the world differently when I am grateful. I let this divine perspective guide me today in noticing the beauty of God everywhere. And I affirm I am grateful. I am living in God's abundance. I'm going to invite you back. As we begin to think about those in the world around us, and we do prayer for others. I always say the fastest way to make a prayer land is to just reach out and make contact with the person if you have that type of relationship. You can call and say, hey, I'm thinking of you. Send a text, an email, anything. Be as interactive in this relationship as you can with someone else. It means a lot. My lowest point when I heard from you guys, it meant so much. But if you don't have that relationship, hold that person in the forefront of your mind. Because at any moment, anyone in the world is going through a battle that they're fighting to be brave through. Sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't. We never know. But we can always be there with love, empathy, compassion. For those going through anything, we see you as whole, healthy, safe, and strong. We see you with light bathed in you, making the choices that you need to make for yourself, not our will dictating those choices. For our planet, we see it healthy, whole, and strong. For our leaders, we see our differences as things that unite us, and we see wisdom and love, compassion and empathy. Guide them in the same way that we would guide others. We do this from our purest Christ-like connection, from our oneness with God. We do it with much sincerity as we can muster, and as much love in each moment, as many moments as possible. And so it is. Amen. Now, Charlie, if you don't mind, we'll, I'd like to repeat the prayer of tithes and offerings. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. And we'll close this out with the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever we are, God is, all is well, and we are richly blessed. Amen. And if you join me for our closing song. Shall we make a circle?
tapping of the phone.